What league allows this?
They definitely making it their business to piss Caitlyn off.
Very physical, and they're calling everything or they're missing calls.
WNBA referees have just been suspended after being exposed for unfairly targeting Caitlin Clark, and now the league is spiraling into crisis.
Can you tell me what kind of a move that Ryan Howard's doing here to Caitlin Clark?
What began as a series of questionable no calls has exploded into a full-blown scandal. Analysts are calling it a stain on the sport, and fans are demanding action before the league's credibility completely collapses. They brushed it off as rookie treatment, claiming Caitlin Clark had to earn her calls. But now the truth is unraveling, and it's far uglier than anyone imagined.
Felt like she finally was getting her legs back under her, no pun intended.
This isn't just about missed whistles anymore. It's about deliberate targeting, undeniable bias, and the integrity of an entire league now hanging in the balance.
A lot of NFL fans are going to be like, wait a minute, you can't do this. You can't do this to us.
In her last 4 games, Caitlin Clark, easily one of the most ball-dominant rookies in recent memory, has been to the foul line just 6 times. 6, for comparison. Most star-level point guards in the WNBA average 4 to 6 free throws per game, sometimes even more. Caitlin's out there playing nearly 40 minutes a night, orchestrating the offense, taking contact on nearly every possession, and still the whistles are silent. That's not normal. And it's definitely not random.
And this picture that I just came across, I'm like, what are we doing?
This trend has not gone unnoticed by fans, and expert analysis has highlighted the exceptionally physical nature of the play against Caitlin Clark. A detailed breakdown of a recent Fever vs. Wings game revealed numerous instances where Clark was grabbed and shoved.
She came out, it ain't been that long ago, like 2 weeks ago. Refereeing's pretty good in this league.
Actions that did not draw fouls from the referees. A widely circulated image of Ryan Howard holding Clark's chest mid-play has further intensified the debate, with many arguing that such contact exceeds the bounds of acceptable defense and questions the lack of officiating. During that same contest, ESPN's own Rebecca Lobo and Ryan Ruocco became so visibly frustrated that they began calling out the infractions live on air.
Greatest hits compilation of multiple fouls that never freaking got called.
The ball handler. There's a grab. There's a hold.
There's a grab. There's hold.
There's another grab. I mean,
there's another grab.
All of those are fouls. Every single one of them. And here,
one after another, they identified blatant fouls, counting 4 consecutive uncalled violations against Clark before the officials finally blew a whistle. When national broadcast teams abandon their unspoken code of neutrality, you understand the severity of the situation. This represented a significant turning point, elevating the issue beyond the realm of YouTubers and disgruntled fans. It was the league's own broadcast partners losing their professional composure on a national stage. This made it undeniably clear that the problem wasn't merely incompetent officiating. It felt like something more profound, perhaps even deliberate. All the while, the league office remained conspicuously silent. Just weeks before this public outcry, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert had the audacity to declare that the league's officiating was strong. Strong? This statement was made while Caitlin Clark was being physically restrained, struck on the arms, and pushed out of plays. As she was being wrestled away from the ball without any consequence, the officiating was not demonstrating strength. It was demonstrating negligence. The situation only escalates. There is available footage showing Jordan Canada physically holding Caitlin Clark on the court, preventing her from rejoining the action. There was no whistle, no technical foul, absolutely nothing. It is as if the referees are officiating with blindfolds on whenever she is involved. Consequently, fans, content creators, and professional analysts are now stating the obvious. Caitlin Clark is being specifically targeted. It is time to label this for what it is, a systemic failure unfolding before our very eyes. The officials are not simply missing calls. They are actively influencing the outcomes of games. ESPN's broadcast team counted the infractions. Fans clipped the evidence, and YouTubers have thoroughly exposed the pattern. The era of silent acceptance is over. The most perverse irony is that if Caitlin Clark were to voice her frustrations publicly, she would face a fine. That is the truly twisted aspect of her predicament. She is being penalized, impeded, and disrespected on the court, and should she dare to speak on it, she is the one who will be financially punished. This reality shifts the burden onto everyone else to articulate what she cannot. Now, speculation is mounting that suspensions are imminent. The WNBA be compelled to take action now that irrefutable proof has emerged, suggesting that referees are undergoing internal review, particularly as the All-Star break approaches. The truth has gone viral, and once a spotlight this bright is on, there is nowhere left to hide. The pressing question is whether the league intends to resolve the issue or protect the source of the problem. The internet's reaction was not just a response, it was an explosion. One by one, video clips began to emerge, featuring slow-motion replays, annotated screenshots, and zoomed-in views from every conceivable angle. The evidence did not depict rough basketball. It showed undeniable persecution, and the public had the receipts to prove it. In a single widely shared freeze frame, Caitlin Clark is being overtly grabbed across her chest during a live play. The result? Absolutely nothing. Not a single whistle was blown. The game continued. That image alone ignited a firestorm of outrage, and for valid reasons. Such an act cannot be justified as defense. It is not contesting a shot, but fundamentally crossing a line of conduct. This was not an isolated incident. The evidence continued to accumulate, possession after possession, showing her being pulled, shoved, and thrown off balance. Arms were wrapped around her waist as if it were a wrestling match. Hands were constantly on her as she attempted to run the offense. These were not incidental touches or standard physical contact. They were illegal, repeated, and flagrantly ignored holds. The public began to deconstruct it all. Detailed play-by-play threads with timestamps and arrows indicating uncalled fouls flooded social media. The emerging consensus was clear. This was not a series of accidents or a few missed calls. It was a consistent pattern of behavior that has been occurring in game after game. One social media post encapsulated the situation perfectly. If this type of contact occurred in a recreational co-ed league, the perpetrator would be escorted out of the building, and that statement rings true. How can these kinds of grabs and holds be happening in a professional basketball league with no apparent accountability? The silence from the league's leadership only exacerbated the problem. The head of the WNBA had recently lauded the officiating as strong and consistent, a statement that aged terribly as fans watched Caitlin get systematically beaten down. The people in charge seemed to be pretending it wasn't happening, offering no acknowledgement, no follow-up, and no visible repercussions for the referees who allowed it. All this while the most high-profile rookie in a generation was being hammered nightly without protection. This isn't merely about rough play. It is about the selective application of the rules. When Clark is hacked on her way to the rim, there is no call. When she is shoved out of bounds, there is silence. When she is held down on the floor, unable to rejoin the play, the whistle remains elusive. Yet other players consistently receive these calls, earning trips to the free throw line and the benefit of the doubt. So, why is she treated differently? That is the question on everyone's mind, and the league's refusal to provide an answer is only adding fuel to the fire. Instead of addressing the officiating crisis, a bizarre narrative pivot has occurred. Suddenly, the discussion has shifted to how Caitlin is not performing up to expectations, with suggestions that other players like Angel Reese or Paige Buchers are now superior. It's a narrative that implies she has somehow declined. However, let's examine the facts. Caitlin has been playing through injuries with limited minutes and is still producing statistics that most athletes would aspire to. In a massive 102-83 victory, she recorded 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals, all while being subjected to relentless physical abuse and being ignored by the game officials. Furthermore, she had the most viral moment of that night, clapping directly in her opponent's face following a dominant sequence. This was not mere showboating. It was an expression of deep-seated frustration and power. It was a clear message. Despite everything, I am still here, still producing, and still better. But the distracting noise persists. Every time she is physically dragged down, the headlines shift to anoint the next big star. Yet, the statistics do not lie. The eye test does not lie. And no manufactured narrative can conceal the reality that she is performing under a unique form of pressure unlike anyone else right now. Even more disturbing is the growing conviction among many that this is not random. The consensus is building that what is happening to Caitlin on the court is intentional and systematic, and that the refusal to call fouls is not just poor officiating, but a targeted form of mistreatment. People are now demanding that only external officials be permitted to referee her games, not for favoritism, but for her physical safety, because at this rate, a serious injury feels inevitable. Still, nothing changes. There are no fines for reckless plays, no warnings issued, and no public acknowledgement of the problem from the league, only a profound silence that speaks volumes more than any press conference could. And this is no longer just a fan concern. The outcry is now coming from all directions. Commentators, analysts, and even fellow players have begun to point out how unusual this all feels. The tension is escalating, the scrutiny is intensifying, and the league is quickly running out of time. Because the longer this situation continues, the more apparent the truth becomes. This is no longer just about basketball. It is about bias, accountability, and most importantly, the protection of the very players who make the game compelling. Things are now reaching a boiling point, and I'm not referring to the summer weather. I am talking about a full-blown crisis inside the WNBA, because after weeks of viral clips, public outcry, and on-court chaos, something has finally shifted. Referees are reportedly now under review. Indeed, after countless missed fouls, body checks, and blatant manhandling broadcasts on national television, it appears the league may finally be taking the action it should have weeks ago, paying attention. Sources now indicate that multiple referees are the subject of internal investigations. This is not solely because of fan outrage on social media. It is because ESPN became directly involved. When your own broadcast partners begin to publicly criticize you, you have a serious problem on your hands. There's even credible discussion about suspensions being handed down right before the All-Star break. That is correct. The individuals tasked with upholding the rules of the game might soon be benched themselves. The irony is palpable. Let's be clear, this is no longer about a few bad calls. It is about the fundamental integrity of the league. When fans witness their favorite player being subjected to relentless physical assault without a whistle, something within them breaks, not just their trust, but their desire to support the league. You can sense the change now. The energy has shifted. The online atmosphere is tense, primed, and furious. People are stating that if the league refuses to clean up its officiating, they will stop watching entirely. They are boycotting merchandise and canceling tickets, not because they are anti-WNBA, but because they love the sport and cannot tolerate seeing it disrespected in this manner. This is no longer solely about Caitlin Clark. That is what many people fail to grasp. While she is the flashpoint, this controversy has ignited a fire under the entirety of women's basketball. Because if this can be done to the league's most watched, most hyped, and most valuable rookie, who is truly safe? Players, fans, and former professionals are all echoing the same sentiment. This must change. If it does not, the league risks more than just negative headlines. It risks a complete collapse of its credibility. That is the true danger, not one player's potential injury, but the entire audience collectively deciding, no thanks, we're done. So, what is the next move? The ball is in the league's court, and frankly, they are mishandling badly. But while they try to figure it out, we are not waiting. This is where the real momentum is being generated. People are not just angry. They are mobilizing. They are sharing clips, flooding social media timelines, and tagging the league in every instance of a brutal foul or missed whistle. And yes, they are representing the movement. You have likely seen the Make Basketball Great Again shirts by now bright, bold, and unapologetically fed up. It is more than a slogan. It is a declaration, a reminder that this game, its fans, and Caitlin Clark all deserve better. And this is just the beginning. If the league believed this controversy would simply fade away, that fans would eventually move on, they have severely misjudged their audience. Caitlin Clark may not be the type to engage in a public tirade, but the people who support her, the ones filling arenas, breaking viewership records, and calling out the injustice are not going anywhere. We are no longer just watching the games. We are now scrutinizing the officials, the league office, and the commissioner. Every decision, every non-call, every response or lack thereof is being documented, shared, and remembered. You can feel it now. This matters not just for Clark or her team, but for the very future of women's sports. Because if you fail to protect your biggest stars, who are you really protecting? This has become more than a few missed calls. It is a reckoning. And if they assumed Caitlin Clark would endure it all in silence, they were mistaken.